Welcome, Descendants. Today I'm going over my Gley build. My Gley was specifically designed for party comp, so with all of that in mind, keep all of the future context with the thought that Gley has been built for a specific purpose, and so has my Python. Please do not just go duplicating these builds to go solo bosses. Check out my Twitch in the description. Enjoy. And now we go into Gley herself. Gley's passive ability, Thirst. This allows you to spawn blood orbs or life spheres. If you want to be lame, each life sphere regains health and has a 30% chance to spawn. The bar down here represents your life sphere amount, so you must pick up a life sphere in order to fill your bar. It also says in non-frenzied state, you get a damage reduction. Non-frenzied state is her base state and is denoted by this little symbol right here with the ponytail down. Ponytail up, frenzied. Ponytail down, not frenzied. Gley, Super Saiyajin. Gley. It costs 10% of your HP to activate Frenzy. Gives you a 15% increase in your firearm attack and your firearm explosive attack, which is rocket launchers. A 51 firearm penetration amount. An incoming recovery decrease. And a received damage increase. The last two are in the bad direction. Then we have Life Siphon. Life Siphon is a good AoE attack. This does recover hit points, and you get more hit points when you're not in frenzy. In addition, it does AoE range of 6 meters, recovering 5% per enemy hit, and a skill power modifier of 327. This is the best way to use Gley to farm with. The lower your health is, the more damage this will do. Then we have Increased Sensory. In Frenzied State, Super Saiyan, it gives you unlimited ammo and slows your movement speed down. In non-frenzied state, it increases your movement speed, increases your life orb gain to 60%, and recovers hit points. Massacre. This is her flagship ability and what she's known for. You need a minimum of 3 blood orbs to activate it, and whenever you do activate it, you gain a unique weapon. The unique weapon stats are the same stats as the gun you're using, but the unique ability does not proc on the Massacre weapon. Yes, you can hit weak points as denoted by the yellow number, and the white number is the additional damage coming from a skill power modifier of 68.9 whenever I am frenzied. If I am not frenzied, it provides a stun effect, but usually the enemies die anyway before you can stun them. So that is Gley with no modules. Let's go over Gley's modules. Gley has 6 modules at the moment, and we'll begin with Demonic Modification. Demonic Modification turns her Massacre weapon into a charge-up attack. The longer you charge it up, the more damage you do. If you are in Frenzied, it adds a skill power modifier. You can see the red bar here charge up and deplete my health. If you don't charge it up, way less damage. Then we have Explosive Life, increasing the blood orb spawn rate and making them all turn into bombs. You'll need a minimum of 2 power of lives to activate the skill, and whenever you have it active, you turn your blood orbs into bombs. If you're in Frenzied, they do extra damage, and if you are not in Frenzied, you gain stacks of vigor. Blood and Iron. Blood and Iron changes your capability to acquire blood orbs through the use of critical hits. Although it does have a cooldown, which you will see right here, and the cooldown as such. Up next we have Predator Instinct. Normally a frenzy gives you 15% damage. Here, by holding down the trigger, you can gain an additional 7% firearm attack, which is right there. And you have a maximum of 2 stacks. Then we have Super Senses. Super Senses increases the duration of your increased sensory, but it locks your fire rate to a certain fire rate. Whether the gun fires slower or faster doesn't matter, it stays to that fire rate. Here I'm firing it with an Enduring Legacy. The locking of the fire rate is typically used best for sniper rifles or slow firing weapons that deal a lot of damage. A lot of modules that increase the capability of the gun while slowing down fire rate. You can put these on a weapon such as the Piercing Light, and still attain a very strong firing weapon without sacrificing fire rate, as well as the Massacre itself. The last mod, Massive Sanguination, all it does is allow you to acquire 3 blood orbs every time you activate Massive Sanguination, which every blood orb will give you 1 round fired in all forms. But with that Massive Sanguination, if you are in the frenzied state and you activate Massive Sanguination, you will acquire 3 blood orbs, which you can then use to activate your Massacre. Then you can use your increased sensory and have infinite ammo. It comes with a drawback of losing hit points to use your Massacre right off the bat. And this is the module I have chosen to build a build with. Before I go into the Gley build, I highly recommend no one just copy this build verbatim, because I have specifically built Gley in order to be used with an Enzo and a Luna, which I'll go over the math of that later in the video, and why I chose to do it. First, I have the Pocket Luna Massive Sanguination build. Here we have a module that I use for Architect. I either use Walk a Tightrope or Dangerous Ambush on the build, depending on what I'm doing. Walk a Tightrope is best for soloing, and Dangerous Ambush is best for group play. Walk a Tightrope is also best for certain scenarios, especially the scenario with a Luna and an Enzo. The trick of the build, before we go too far, is to make sure the increased sensory buff unlimited ammo active, that way you never have to leave Massacre. And it just becomes a fun time. To acquire the cooldown on this specific build, I have Focus on Dimension and Focus on Non-Attribute. These I needed for the 6.1% cooldowns. I have Nimble Fingers and skill cooldown of MP conversion, because I use MP anyway. So these 4 mods give me the cooldown necessary for the build. I would have to run more cooldown, but I have cooldown on my Reactor. Walk a Tightrope whenever my hit points is 50% less or lower. I acquire 30% skill power modifier and a firearm attack bonus of 30%. This is very good for Gley, and I would use Dangerous Ambush in situations where I plan to get healed a lot or I just don't want to die. Then I have Stim Accelerant because I don't have MP. I have Skill Extension to go along with the skill cooldowns. I do not think I could live without both the duration and skill cooldown on the build. I don't think they need to be gold, but I do think they need to be on the Reactor. Otherwise you will have to sacrifice a module slot for cooldown or duration. Then I have Skill Concentration, Skill Insight, and Front Lines. Because I intend for a Luna to be in the party, these 3 modules will give me 100% crit rate. So if you switch out Front Lines or Emergency Measures, I do believe you will be losing damage. Every bullet of Massacre I hit, I deal a skill power modifier bonus of 68 plus 68 plus 30 if I have Walk a Tightrope on, and those are reflected right here. So you can see the dimension skill pop up, and for each one of those it would be read and multiplied by crit with these 3 modules and a Luna. Now I don't typically go over weapon builds with Descendant builds, but this one is specifically niche, and this Python was built specifically to have an Enzo in the party. Mental Focus I do believe is better, because Precision Shot, you lose the buff whenever you reactivate Increased Sensory. So I would keep Mental Focus on the build. This is a crit build Python, so don't go copying Python. The only reason it's on here is because the gun came with that socket. And that is the Gley build. Now, my Reactor is a very good Reactor, I will say. It would be hard pressed to get more damage out of switching to a different reactor with the Colossus attack power on it, and then getting a cooldown duration module in my build. So it's going to be walking a tightrope. Now, I have the Annihilation set on right now. However, the Slayer set will give me more damage. I don't have a good Slayer set at the moment, so right now I'm living with the Annihilator set. Definitely go for the resistances on all of your components. Resistances, hit points, and HP recovery, if it's on there. We can go bully the lovely Pyromancer for a little bit. Activate your Frenzy. I do it twice just to get right under 50% hit points. Get your Blood Orbs. Activate your Massacre. Wait till he's live. Activate your Increased Sensory. And go to town. So that was 15 seconds on the timer. We're going to die now. Remember, 15 seconds. She is kind of tanky even for a squishy glass cannon. She would be much more squishy with the Slayer set on currently, just so everyone is aware. It took a minute for him to kill me. That's crazy. So we did 15 seconds, 15 million damage. So she is capable of dealing 1 million damage a second to a Void Intercept boss. This doesn't sound like a lot, but whenever you take out resistances, it is a ton of damage. It is much higher than 1 million per second. Now I'll go over some Luna / Enzo math and show you why I made this build. I will not be factoring in anything from the external components as well. Luna is a buff character, the best buff character, but she isn't buff. Luna has an ability called Exciting Act. This is one of her songs. It increases skill power boost ratio, skill critical hit damage increase, and skill critical hit rate increase. The skill power boost increase is applied to the base skill power boost ratio. So let's factor this in. 7.5% of a well-built Luna's MP, which is around 800 to higher, will give you a 0.6 power boost ratio increase, which is higher than 2 Slayer sets. Insane. This number is important. We have a skill critical hit damage increase of 50%. This 50% is applied to base before modules. Same for the 35% skill critical hit rate increase. It says it only lasts for 10 seconds, but the song itself lasts for 15. So 15 plus 10, you get a total of 25 seconds of damage out of this ability. And we don't have a Slayer set on. So first we have 18,759. I would use the blackboard here, except this is going to get kind of convoluted if I don't use this sheet specifically. I have 18,759 multiplied by our Luna's power skill boost ratio, which is 0.6, multiplied times our non-attribute, and we go down the line. The skill power modifier of Massacre is 68, plus the 68 from our Dimension skill power, plus the 30 from Walk a Tightrope, plus the 50 from at least being 50% for Walk a Tightrope. So before crit is applied, each tick from Massacre will do 191,000 damage from Luna. Go down to 190. She has a base hit rate of 5% and a base critical hit damage of 1.2. This would be 0.5 added to the 1.2, which is 1.7, and 35 added to the 5%, which is 40. This changes her base skills. On the build, we have a 140% critical hit rate increase. If we have 40%, 140 of that gives us a 100% critical hit rate. In addition, we have 180% critical hit damage. So 180 times 1.7 is 3. This is our critical hit damage added bonus whenever Luna is in the party. So our total critical hit damage is a 4.7 multiplier of our damage times 190,000 is 900,000 damage per bullet in Massacre of just the skill damage. Now, this clip right here denotes me being able to fire 16 rounds in 1 second with a Python. So that puts the total skill damage of 14,470,000 before resistance per second. That is a crazy freaking number. And that's just the skill damage from Luna. Then we have the Python damage. I have built Python for Enzo. This one's a little bit more complicated, and I won't bore you with the math. Luna and Enzo buffing a Gley that is built specifically for crit on a Massacre build will do roughly 20 million DPS, which might be a record in this game. I expect to see some speedrunners out there with some party comps. Get in there, people. So that is my builds. That is how I've chosen to build both Python and Gley for the coming seasons. Yes, for parties, people. Guess what? We will have party comp. And unless you want to feel like a Twinkie in a KitchenAid blender, we should probably start building our builds that way. This will do a far more damage with the Slayer set. But I hope y'all... I forgot Walk the Tightrope and Annihilator sets. Damage boost on my Python. Way more. I hope y'all liked my Gley build. If you intend to build a Gley like this, or if you have a Gley that's like this, you can continually keep up Massacre. Drop in the comments, and I will run my buff Luna, and we'll see what we can get out of there. Alternatively, if you want to party up, hop in my Twitch. I like to play with the chat. We have good times. Twitch in the description. Check out my channel if you like the way I do content. Consider subscribing, and y'all have a sick day. Peace out.